Thank you for being here with all Israel. And thank you for everything that you're doing for this world. We really need you. So I was in Gaza. I was taken from Kfar Aza, and 64 people were murdered in such a brutal way, burnt alive. Mothers were raped in front of their families. And being in Gaza, seeing, feeling with the girls, and the girls are still there, with the boys that are still there, with my kid that is 65 years old from North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and he's still there underneath the ground, screaming and begging to get him out. So I'm sure that most of you have heard a little bit of my stories, but I will tell them again that we won't forget. So the hardest moments for me is when they tortured, touched in such a brutal way, starved, pushed, hit, shouted at, threatened with a gun. The hardest moments for me is when they did that to Keith, and when they did that to the girls. It was the hardest thing for me to disconnect myself and try not feel. Because when people feel, it hurts the most. And I say that if there was a camera and people would have seen what we went through, we would have been out the day after. Because the fear that I remember looking at the girl that was with me after the Hamas terrorists decided to touch her, because it just felt like it, and to threaten her that if she ever opens her mouth, he will kill her. And she had to take that and to smile 2 minutes after it happened, because she had to. And I was proud of her. I was with one of the girls that was beaten up into pieces because they thought she was lying. And she was not. And she had to pretend that everything's okay and smile after that and behave. I wanted to scream. I saw them torture Keith and wanted to scream for him and had to disconnect myself. So many people ask me, how did I manage to do that? I used to count 1, 2, 3, until I got to 100. And many times I couldn't even relax myself after that. But I had to find tools to go through what I went through, because I saw everything, touched everything, and everything touched my heart. And the worst thing is the world doesn't believe, like everybody said here. We need the world to understand that we are able to talk and say things, and we don't lie. Why should we lie? Why should we say something that didn't happen, that it's the worst thing that can ever happen to anybody? And for me to believe and understand that not enough has been done, and the girls are still there, and Keith is still there, while they're lying underneath the ground on a filthy, dirty mattress, just like I did, and trying to figure out what kind of world they are living in by them still being there, tortured, and they're just waiting for the next thing that'll happen. Because that's what happened to me. I used to convince myself that I'm going to go through worse and prepare myself, because I felt I had to, because I didn't understand what is happening. So I still don't understand how come Keith and the girls that might be pregnant, the second time, will come back. And now that they're talking about releasing maybe my Keith and the girls that I was with that are still there, I'm so sensitive. It's hard for me even to talk these days, because I do not know what kind of people we're going to get back and who we're going to get back and how Keith is going to be. But then 2 minutes later, when I think about it, I look at the mothers of the girls that I was with, that I've been talking to them and helping them this whole year that I've been back, waiting for their daughter with an open heart and open hands and jumping into the air when they get out of Gaza. I just can't wait. I'll never forget that moment when we were separated, Keith and I, from the girls. And the Hamas terrorists looked at us and said, "Don't worry, you're going to be with them tomorrow." And I looked at the girls and I said to them, "Don't believe him." I didn't believe him. And luckily I didn't believe him because we separated in words, in feelings that they took with them and that I took with us, with myself. We hugged each other, we cried. And I said to them, when we'll meet in Israel, we'll scream. I can't wait to scream. And I can't wait to scream when I see Keith in front of me. I just hope that it's going to be soon, very, very soon. Because what the girls and the boys and Keith are going through is the worst thing that anybody could go through. Because I was there. And you know, it took me maybe a half a year or even more to look at my daughter and say, I went through too much in 51 days. I didn't allow myself to feel what I went through because I've been talking and talking only for the girls and for Keith and for all the hostages. So I want to thank you, and let's all be together. When one person screams, it's not loud, but when many people scream together, everybody can hear that. So let's just scream together. Thank you.